A lot of people get attached to fictional characters and often cry or feel sad when the story ends. Then you might be wondering whether you're crazy for feeling sad over some words on a page. If you're a reader, you probably know the feeling after turning the last book of a long series you've been reading for, let's say, a couple of months. Then there's this sense of emptiness, of sadness, like something similar you would feel after losing a good friend or a loved one, knowing that your story together is over. But if something like this has happened to you, then don't worry, it's completely normal and healthy. Your brain doesn't really differentiate between fictional characters and real characters, at least assuming the fictional characters are actually written to be believable. But there is a positive message in all of this, that the reason you get attached to fictional characters is also the same reason that's responsible for, in my opinion, two of the biggest benefits of reading books, which are developing empathy and mentalization. Now, empathy might be familiar to most of you, like it's feeling the compassion, it's feeling the feelings of another person, but not everyone might know what mentalization exactly is. So mentalization is a bit similar, but mentalization is about the more logical aspect of understanding someone else's feelings. And it goes beyond feeling, it's about understanding the situation or the world from another person's perspective. Both understanding their emotions as well as their thoughts, but it doesn't really necessitate compassion to them. It's only about understanding their perspective. And it's an established fact that literary fiction, and even fiction in general, can help you develop those skills. I mean, it shouldn't really be surprising. When you read a lot of books, you're constantly thrown into another person's worldview. When you're reading your favorite book, you're looking at the perspective of the main character, or sometimes even several characters, and you can see their thoughts, you can understand their motivations, you can see how they act in different scenarios, you can see their emotions. So you're constantly spending time looking at all sorts of scenarios from all sorts of perspectives. And while movies and movie series can also have a similar impact, I think there is a small difference that in books you have the narrator and it's easier to describe the inner feelings of a person. Right? In movies, you're much more restricted when it comes to that, because in a book you can, in one sentence, describe or show the inner feelings of a person, while in movies you either have to do that through some sort of backstory or through facial expressions, and it's just much harder. Now, getting back to the topic of how do we actually get attached to those fictional characters, everything lies in the fact that good fiction can create really believable characters. And when you compare it to our everyday lives, when you can feel empathy and compassion towards someone you don't actually know, for example, if someone tells you a story about something terrible happening in the other part of the world or something bad happening to one of their family members, you do feel sad. And if you constantly hear updates over a long period of time, you start getting attached. And the same thing is happening when you're spending a lot of time with a fictional story. And think about it. How do you actually get attached to people? You get attached to people when you spend a lot of time with them, you start to understand them, and the more you resonate with their motivations, their challenges and obstacles in life, then the more empathy and attachment you start feeling towards them. And the part about obstacles and challenges is very important, because how do authors of stories create those believable characters? What makes a character believable? I think it mostly lies in character flaws, character motivation, and obstacles and challenges. If you've ever watched a movie or read a book where the main character felt really flat, or the plot didn't really resonate with you or wasn't engaging, then the issue probably lies in one of those three things. When you have a perfect character that doesn't have any flaws, you can't relate to them, because everyone has flaws. All real people have flaws. So when the fictional character doesn't, it stops feeling real. The same thing goes for motivation and challenges. We all experience challenges. We know how hard they can get. And if we also relate to the character motivation, or even not directly relate, it's enough if we understand it, then we can really relate to the feeling of facing difficult obstacles to achieve what you want. So when you have those three things in the fictional characters, all of those imaginary made-up elements, whether it's sci-fi, whether it's fantasy, then those whole things of advanced tech, magic, they don't really break your immersion if the character is believable. That's why when you spend a lot of time with those fictional characters, attachment forms just like it would with any real person. I don't know why I'm holding the scissors, wait a minute. Okay, now it's better. And it all happens because we as humans are wired for connection and we are wired to resonate with challenges and things like that. Now I would like to get back to the topic of mentalization for just a moment, because why would you care, right? What are those actual benefits of mentalization? And sort of explain the clear difference between this and empathy. The reason why you should care about developing mentalization is because it helps you in all aspects of life, work, relationships, or your personal daily interactions. I mean, you should be able to imagine how much understanding the other person can help you in all of those areas. When you understand how they think, what motivates them, you're much better at communicating with them, and you really shouldn't underestimate the value of becoming a good communicator. When you're trying to communicate with someone who's being difficult at work, it really helps if you can enter their perspective and really understand why they're being so difficult. If you understand it and you show it to them that you understand them, it will be much easier to come to a conclusion. Because people will not always directly tell you why they're doing what they're doing or what they actually want. So if you can develop a skills to figure it out yourself, then it's much easier to come to a conclusion that satisfies both parties. And that's obviously even more important in things like relationships. So that's it in the topic of mentalization. And before we end it, a small caveat. There is such a thing as getting too attached to fictional stories. Usually this feeling of sadness or crying after finishing a great series should pass ideally in a day, 2, or maximum 3. If it's been a week after you finish the fictional stories, if you're still thinking about it, still feeling sad or a bit depressed, then this might be a sign that you're spending too much time in fiction and not enough time in reality. Because at the end of the day, while I love books, while I fully support all of the benefits they bring, I definitely believe people should be reading much more. Then, there are extreme cases. Just like with anything else in life, there is such a thing as too much. Then we shouldn't forget that at the end of the day, we live in reality and we do have to face real problems and work on our real lives, even when it seems really difficult. But overall, as I said, I fully support reading books. So in case you're someone who knows they've been putting off reading a bit, then I have a small ask of you. Today in the evening, I hope you can make 30 minutes to pick up a book you're supposed to be reading. And if you need a weekly reminder to do that, and if you're interested in some extra written content, then I'll be launching a newsletter soon. It's about how books and stories can be connected to our everyday lives. If you'd like to check it out, the link is in the description. No pressure, and I'll see you guys next time.